We can as well, yeah.
Okay.
So I figured we'd start with the Chris. It is really simple to take apart. So let me go ahead and share that, and then we'll. Oh wait, where is it? There we are. Share. All right. So, like I said, my back. Can you see the screen? Okay.
Yes, sir. I can see it fine.
Okay.
Is it upside down?
Mm-hmm.
It is upside down.
Yeah, I just need to rotate this. Now it's not.
Yep.
Okay. So, let's see if I can get that a little bit higher. Reach this chair. That's better.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So, in looking at this, um, what what you have is this going to be your charging handle. Okay. This is your bolt release. This is your magazine release, and safety's over here. Okay. On this side, you can see into the chamber because I've got the bolt locked to the rear. So I'm going to go ahead and send that forward.
Okay.
All right, now to take this thing apart, it's this pin here. That pin comes out. This pin comes out. That pin comes out. And the top comes off.
Interesting.
The tolerance was pretty secure, even for it being that simple.
Now, yeah. Now on the bottom part, so that's your bolt. This is the recoil assembly, and yes, your recoil spring comes down here. So to take that out, you push. On the plate here. And then all of that slides out.
That's definitely a different type of bolt than what I've seen.
So interesting.
Yep. So the idea is that instead of your recoil path being straight back, the recoil path comes in and down. So it has no perceivable felt recoil. And then from here, you could clean your barrel, do whatever else you needed to do. But amazingly simple, huh?
Yes, it is.
I will tell you, having never taken it apart before, it was not at all what I expected. I expected it to be a lot more than that. Now, we could take it down more if we undid these, in which case then we could pull this assembly out. I don't see any real reason to do that at this point in time. The magazine release is the same as a Glock. I don't know if you can see down in there, but you see how that straight pin.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the same spring pin that a Glock magazine release uses.
Hmm.
So to get that out, you just pry it so it's sitting on top and then push everything out the side. But then to put everything back together, put that back in, and then you're going to match these rails here. That slides in, that slides in. We'll line that up, push that one through. All right, I have a dad joke for you, John.
Okay.
What did the green grape say to the purple grape?
No clue.
Breathe, man, breathe.
All right.
Then these two pieces, if I can get them lined up just right, go back together, and then in, and in.
Really simple and straightforward.
Yep. And an absolute blast to shoot.
I have actually never even picked one up, so I would be curious to see about it.
The balance on them is really good. As long as we're taking a look at different things today. In the class, there was a discussion on the Browning A5. I think that was back when you were doing shotguns or gas operated. Do you remember what it was saying about the Browning A5 action?
Not right off the top of my head. I'd have to look it up.
Okay, so the Browning A5 action, what's interesting about this is that when it recoils, and I'm going to try and hold this so you can see it, the barrel and everything moves back in one piece.
Right.
Okay, and then here, what happens is the barrel runs away from that empty case or that empty hull, and then when it gets to full extension is when it loads the next one. So when you're talking about a very comfortable shotgun to shoot, this is it. Now I'm going to hold down here. Okay, did you see the bolt move?
Yes, I did.
No, I didn't. Got caught. But yep. So that's how this works. And the recoil system on it is equally interesting. So you actually flip this piece over right here, dependent upon whether you're shooting high brass or low brass. Now, back in the day, this one's from 1925. The high brass was loaded with more powder, so it had a higher dram equivalent. Dram equivalent doesn't mean diddly today. The only reason shotgun shell manufacturers even put it on the box is because people are expecting it to be there. But dram equivalent was how they converted from black powder shot shell to modern powder shot shell, because old grandpappy would say, well, ain't no way this shotgun shoots as strong as my other one. Doesn't have the same smoke coming out the end. So, they put dram equivalent. So He goes, yeah, but it's the same as what you were shooting black powder was. Today it doesn't matter. Now, this particular shotgun belonged to my dad's father. And when I got it, it was given to me one Christmas by his brother. I ended up having it rechambered. So I decreased the value of the gun by about $900 doing that. But the reason I did it is because my granddad used it to put food on the table during the Great Depression. I figured he'd want it to continue to be used to put food on the table. And it used an older 16 gauge shell, so I had to get it rechambered. You know,
Well,
when you talk about value of firearms, you know, it's not always just a number. You know, all of these marks on the stock are actually from the barbed wire fence where granddad would rest it as he was waiting for the dove.
well, and to me, that makes it more valuable because one, it's a family heirloom, and you didn't, you're not intending on selling it. You've got it to use it. That's like with my M1 Garand, me refinishing certain things on it, changing out the gas plug and stuff is going to devalue it in a collector's eye. But for me, it actually increases the value.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I mean, I've done some work on the stock. I haven't wanted to, I mean, I could buy new wood, but I haven't wanted to because that was the wood that was on there.
Right.
And, you know, like this crack here, that crack up here, you know, the way you fix that is you use glass bedding and fiberglass material, and then just sand it till it's smooth. Okay, so this is the M1 Garand. Now, the M1 Garand and the Mini 14, or in this case, Mini 30, are actually the same gun.
Yes.
In the way that they were designed. So this operating rod or operating handle does reciprocate, which if you're not paying any attention can be a tad bit surprising at times. But we'll take apart this one, and then we'll take apart this one, and I'll show you the similarities.
Okay.
All right. Verify clear.
Yes, it is.
I don't want. I don't want to.
Careful.
Yeah, I don't want to pinch my thumb today. I've done that enough. All right. So to take this apart, your trigger guard actually locks the magazine base plate in. So that's what holds the upper and lower receiver together. And so to get that apart, and this is a little bit easier than on the Mini. You pull back and up.
Yep.
There's your trigger assembly.
Which next week I will be taking apart.
You didn't remove a pin there at all? It
Nope.
just came out?
No,
There's no pin.
it actually
Oh,
locks
I see.
right here.
I see.
So it's having the right pressure on it to the rear, and then it comes up. And this is your safety. Hammer. Now you can see your sear surfaces right here.
Yes.
All right. So, you know, if you have issues with it not catching, those are the engagement points you want to check. When it comes back initially, with the trigger held back, it catches on that back one. Can you see it?
Yes, I do.
So it catches here, the bolt travels back, hold it down, and then it catches on your front.
So in a way, it's a double sear,
Yeah,
not necessarily a disconnector like on some of the more modern firearms.
correct. Correct. And the spring in here is a real bugger. So, you know, it's this tube is held in place by a pin here and it pushes against the back side of the hammer. And so that pin's a real pain to get in when it's under tension.
Oh, I will have to figure out the best way to do it, though.
Yeah. So take all your tension off. And then from here, if you'll notice, it's indented right there.
Yes.
This one out first. So drive it out this way.
Right. From what I've seen so far, all the pins on my M1 Grand, the left side, where that side, they're all slightly smaller than the right side, so that way they only fit in one direction.
Yep. And then if you're having issues with your magazine not ejecting, this is the spring that ejects the clip.
Okay.
So Numerich should have replacement springs if you need them. Another good resource is Sarco. It's e-sarcoinc.com. With that out, when we turn it over, this just lifts out. And truly, there's not much else to it. Here's your operating rod. So this is what, and it's traveling back and forth. So you've got the lifter here for the rounds to push them up in the clip.
Yes.
I don't really want to take it down much more. So a place to pay attention to. Can you see the carbon buildup here?
Yes.
Okay. Since it's gas operated, and that's pushing on this operating rod, that's what's controlled by your gas plug, which is here. Now this gas plug that's in there is adjustable.
Right. I looked online and all the adjustables are sold out.
Okay.
I found one on grandgear.com. It's not adjustable, but it's supposedly safe to use with new ammo.
Yeah. So in this one, when I put it in, we went to the range and I opened it all the way up and then I slowly tightened it down until it was feeding. Took about 3 rounds, I guess. So, you know, but if that Garand resource has one, you'll want to put it in there.
I've already ordered it. It should be here in about 10 days.
And it's really easy. Literally unscrew the one that's in there and screw it back in.
Yeah. I do have a question on
Yeah.
near the where the follower is on the receiver for the rounds.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to show you.
That,
Turn it back upside down real quick. Right there above where the guide rod and the recoil spring come in, there's that little level. Come back to your right a little bit. That piece that's just under the screwdriver there.
okay.
What is that? Because mine does not have one.
Yours does not have this.
No, it does not.
I don't know the name of that part actually, John.
Okay.
Um,
I've seen it on some others, but on the manuals I've got, it doesn't show that piece. So I was wondering if it's a newer piece or something.
what year is yours?
A 44.
So mine is actually a 43.
Okay. Hmm.
So it may be it may be something that was on the older ones and not on the later ones.
Okay.
You know, now when you're taking this out, when you take off your operating rod, you've got this cut out
Yes.
right here. That actually lines up with this. And so that's where you can actually pull that out. So you can do it without pinching myself. And now from here, you know, you could take your charging handle off, because you've taken off all the tension. You can put a bolt out. The bolt
Right.
out through here, which is kind of like playing Tetris.
Well, the follower's catching on the bottom of the bolt too.
But you got to rotate it.
And kind of lift up on the front end and push down on the back at the same time.
Yeah, you know, we weren't designed with 8 arms,
No.
so. There's your bolt.
Yep.
Spring-loaded ejector. Spring-clip firing pin. There's not a lot of play,
Nope, there's not.
so.
Looks like it's well oiled.
I shot it recently, so it has been cleaned. That was exciting.
Now it doesn't want to let go.
No. Yep. So this piece we were talking about connects to this piece. That would be your hold open. Engaging the front end of that. Now it's amazing the machining they did.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, we got this out. All right, so one of the oils that I like to use is ballast oil. Ballast oil is slightly base. So one of the things it does is it neutralizes any corrosive properties of the ammunition. And it also is good for wood and leather. So,
Okay.
so it's one of those things that I don't mind spraying it kind of everywhere. Now, you use it for most of our firearm stuff. You use it mixed 50-50 with water. Interestingly enough. So you saw how much carbon was on that.
Yes. Much better.
Kind of amazing. I mean, and that's really all that actually takes. So on this end, that the gas is pushing against, outside of wear, it's really almost like new. If a part is going to get bent from modern ammunition, this is the piece. The other lubricant I like to use is frog lube. It's a paste, but it melts with body heat. And so it's really easy to get it exactly where you want it.
Okay. You said it's frog lube?
Frog lube.
Okay.
And it's really minty.
Yeah, because the only thing I've ever used on my M1 Grand is CLP, so.
Yeah, I have kind of gotten away from COP. For no reason other than I have. Ballastol, I really got into when I was doing a lot of black powder. Ballastol was developed in 1904 by the German military, and it was designed for use on all their leather gear, wood gear, any unsundrious other numbers of parts. Kind of old, like Old West snake oil, to be honest with you.
Okay. When I've taken mine apart, I usually, after I'm done cleaning, I'll throw the bolt in first and then put in the follower so it can rest on top of the bolt, and then that the little guide for the follower.
All right, so compare this to the Chris. Which one would you rather have in the field?
Actually, I'd rather have the M1.
From a cleaning, I'd rather have the Chris.
Well, cleaning aspects, yeah, the Chris is definitely easier, but I have more experience and more comfort with the M1 Grand.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable with it, so that's the main thing. Any firearm I get, if I'm comfortable with it, I know I can use it for what it's needed. If I'm not so comfortable, then I'm tend to second guess myself for every shot, so it's not as much fun.
No. Just a second.
Would it help if you push the follower up and slid the bolt forward so that the follower can rest on it so it doesn't fall back out?
Well, right now I'm just trying to get something to catch that other side. See, the octopus is having a lot easier.
Hold that in place.
I've been fighting allergies, and my nose is drippy, which is annoying.
Go back. This. Have the water.
Here's your drill sergeant when you need one.
I kind of wish I was actually there so I could help, but kind of hard to do through video.
It is.
Maybe something better to look at. Just noticed.
Leave that part out. Don, I did get the zip 22 back together.
Oh, that's good. You found that spring that shot across the room.
Yep.
Oh, I just did a quick look while you were working on that. The follower guide is that part that is attached that has the T that goes into the follower itself. It doesn't disconnect from the operating rod.
Well,
Because now you can put the guide and all the other parts back in, put the holding pin.
Yep, yep.
That way it's not under spring tension. Oh, and I did find that piece that I was asking you about. It's called a bullet guide, but
it doesn't appear to me that it really guides anything.
I know that's why, because I've never on mine, like I said, I've never seen that piece. I've never had one. And so I was just curious when I saw it, and I was like, I don't know what that's for, but it is in the manual that I have that's from 65, but I guess whoever owned it before me decided they didn't need that piece because it didn't really do much, so they got rid of it.
Plausible.
Mhm.
And I will say for mine without that bullet guide, it's easier because I can pull that guide arm up all the way and feed it through from the bottom instead of having to come through the top like you're doing now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you take that operating rod off spring tension and do it that way? So you're not having to fight the spring and the other parts? It's not going to let go again.
Okay.
You all right?
I am. I only bleed a little bit,
Okay.
Making room for new skin.
right? Yeah, Tyler recently built a Glock, and he's working on his Chevy motor and stripping skin off with
All sorts of good liquids getting in the cuts. It's always fun.
Oh yeah.
I wonder if brake cleaner sanitizes.
I don't think so.
No.
But it'll wake you up if you're not paying attention.
Yeah,
That's the truth.
but it only causes cancer in California.
Everything
Yeah.
causes cancer in California.
We're safe.
Breathing will cause cancer in California.
Yep. Okay,
That's
so your trigger package is going to come out just like the M1, but you have this hole here, which allows you to get enough tension to be able to pull it out.
Nice.
But it's exactly the same trigger pack,
okay.
just a little bit smaller.
Spring isn't as enclosed.
No.
Got that double sear.
Yep. Little shear arrangement.
Cool.
This actually just clips on.
Okay.
And then here,
That spring's easier to get out.
yeah, much easier. And
And this one is left to right as well.
no, it's just the other one actually has a lip.
Okay.
And,
I see it.
and so this is the cup with the pin in here, right? That fits
Over the pin even.
over the pin.
Okay.
Here's your gas tube.
Interesting.
So that drives gas into here. So it forces it back. So in essence, exactly the same gun.
Yep.
Just mini.
Yep. Now, if you ever need to replace this, your gas tube, you undo these four Allen screws, and this comes apart.
Right.
And then this just fits in there. And so
Okay.
you just pull it out. But yeah, much simpler. This side's flat, and you have a flat right here.
Okay.
So you just make a match. Spring's much easier, but it's still a long spring.
Yes.
Exposed harder.
And you want it on the bottom of that pin, not on the top,
Okay.
so that it's in line. I'll do that in a second. Ta-da.
Yep.
So as always, John, I appreciate you joining me and exploring with me on these events.
I've enjoyed it too.
Yeah, I will say we have had some fun and some challenges. But it's truly been enjoyable.
Well, I've always learned something, so it definitely has made it worth it.
Good. You know, I'm currently doing the FTT111 class as well.
Yes.
And it looks like I'm going to pick up intro to ammunition and ballistics, which would be FTT122. If you had the BBS
100, I think.
that
The,
was
the basic ballistics. Yeah.
that was the old course. They've redeveloped the class. So
Okay.
so I'm working on that right now. Have you selected your elective, the pistol carbine or the 1911 or?
I picked the 1911
Okay.
because I've worked on M16s, M4s, and the AR-15 platform. So I figured I'll go with the pistol because I like the 1911 as well.
Okay. Well, have I taken a 1911 completely apart with you?
No, you have not with me, but I did see you had done it once on one of your videos on your YouTube channel.
Yeah. Well, next week, let's take apart a 1911.
Sounds good to me.
We'll take it all the way down to parts and frame and put it back together.
Sounds like it'll be enjoyable. Hopefully no springs go flying across the room.
Hey, well, you know, I have extras. So if I lose those, okay.
Well, but plus it's always fun to see where they go.
It is. It is. The spring actually ended up in the bristles of the broom I used to sweep up primers. And the plastic piece that, you know, captured the rod actually ended up in a box. So I was really glad it ended up in a box.
Made it a lot easier to find.
Yeah. And I did follow your suggestion and bought the hemostats.
Okay.
And that was the only way I was able to get it back together. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. I'd looked into it. I haven't bought any yet, but since I have the VA and they're for the rehab and education thing,
Yeah.
they're paying for my tools, and that's on the list for when I start my build is to get the hemostats.
Outstanding. Well, good deal. Yeah, I got a set of 8 from Amazon for like $12. So
Yeah, they're not very expensive,
yeah,
and it makes sense.
yeah. But anyway, man, any questions or we good or?
We're good. The only real question I had is it wasn't related to the disassembly and stuff. It was to the assignment for this week. You want us to synthesize the troubleshooting process and then summarize it, right?
Yeah, here, let me pull that up.
Okay.
And I'll share that with you. What do you think of the worksheets, John?
I actually like them because it makes me have to think about a specific firearm, and it's not me just picking something I know, because I would be lazy and pick something that would be easy. This is
Yeah,
making me have to look at different firearms that a lot of them, or not a lot of them, some of them I haven't had any experience on. So I like them. And I
yeah,
like how it kind of helps you see my thought process as I'm troubleshooting.
yeah. I thought that, it being a virtual class, I thought they were really the best solution. I mean, SDI put them together, but I thought the solution to not everybody's going to have every type of gun.
Right.
Thought it was a great in between. It allowed exposure to different platforms, different firearms. Um, and you're right, it does make you think. Um, I've been going over the discussions this week. In the discussions this week, it's do you have to know how to fix small parts and fasteners to troubleshoot?
Right.
You know, my personal philosophy is troubleshooting is different from repairing, right? So, I can look at a gun, I can play with the cycle of operation. I can work the action, and I can figure out what might be wrong, or what might be the issue. I shared um, that revolver,
Yes.
project, and so on that one, I'd never seen that revolver before. I'd never had an opportunity. I mean, You know, it it was an old revolver. I mean, it was like early 1900s.
Right.
And so I knew that it was a revolver. I knew that there was, the customer told me the center pin won't stay in. So I mean, I knew what the issue was, but the troubleshooting to determine, okay, is it the center pin? Is it the latch? Is it the spring? I didn't need to know how to fix it to be able to determine what the malfunction was, right? Now,
Right.
lucky for me, it wasn't a very big part, and I had the steel to be able to turn it to match, and was able to fix it. But I could have done the troubleshooting without any of that knowledge. Now, long term, is it better as a gunsmith to be able to both troubleshoot and repair? Sure, but everybody's just getting into this. So anyway, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts on it are, you don't necessarily need it just to troubleshoot. If you want to tell somebody what is wrong, you don't need to be able to do the fasteners and such.
Right.
But there are some firearms, especially as they get more intricate, where you can troubleshoot and say, yeah, this is a problem, but is it the spring? Is it the pin? And you're going to have to disassemble it to find out exactly what parts are going to be needed, so you can tell the customer. Which, to me, if you have screws or fasteners that are on the outside and you can't figure out how to get them open, or if they're messed up, you've got to be able to figure out how to open it to tell the customer what exact parts you're going to need, whether you're doing the repairs or he is.
Right.
So in a way, you kind of need to at least have a working knowledge of how to repair or remove broken fasteners.
Yes, 100% agree. 100% agree. But with what the question was, I think they can work independently and congruently.
Yes.
And I think that it really is based more on what your level of experience is and what your level of knowledge is, um, opposed to, well, I must be able to do everything right now. You know, um, in this industry, because it's small, um, having partnerships is absolutely critical. You know, um, I don't want to do bluing because of the cost of chemicals. I mean, my predominant workspace is an aluminum outdoor shed. Well, I guarantee you the chemicals to do hot bluing is going to wreak havoc on my aluminum shed. I'm just not interested in those issues. Um, so I have people that I know that do that, and you're talking about age of gun, depending on the gun, some guns were only rust blued. Some of them, based on where they came from, it's a different bluing, process. So, I would rather send that to somebody that specializes in that than me try and do it.
Right. And I agree with that. For the area that I'm at, there's some gunsmiths that focus strictly on the refinishing. They don't have a lot that do the full-on repair and troubleshooting. They focus on the Cerakote, the bluing, or the parkerizing, and things like that. So I can fit in, and then since I am just starting, I don't have to do the refinish side of things, because one of the gun stores that I go to, the owner knows 3 or 4 different gunsmiths around that do the refinishing side, and they're backlogged on the repair side because they're spending a lot of time doing refinishing.
Right.
So I can help out in that aspect and get myself a little better established in the area too.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why, I say partnerships are critical. Uh,
Yes.
because you're right. I mean, most people today buy a gun. It's not necessarily a family heirloom. It's not necessarily something that's older, that may have a broken part. What they want is they want the new finish, or they want, the stock work done, or whatever it happens to be. They want to put a different, stock on, their 7 millimeter or their 8 millimeter. Um, so there's plenty of people that do that because that's easy.
Yes.
Right. So I think you're on the right track by filling in that niche, which is, be the guy that can alleviate the backlog of repairs. And man, check with pawn shops, because pawn shops get in broken guns all the time.
Yes.
And that's another, I think, under tapped, venue, is partnering with them, because they're going to get this gun in. Well, um, if you become a certified appraiser, well, now that 1911 that was brought into the pawn shop, that they did the research on gun broker to see what it's worth, may actually be worth a whole lot more, because you're able to appraise it and determine the actual dollar value.
Right. And that's kind of what I did with my M1 Garand, is did some research on it by the serial number and the stamps and things on the receiver and the different parts. And that's how I know it came off the assembly line in August of 1944 from Springfield.
Which is just cool.
Yeah.
It's just cool. Well, yeah. So on the week 7 assignment, take everything that you've gone through so far in the class, and then recognizing that it's different make, model, action type, where that there's going to be maintenance habits. So how would you How would you utilize the knowledge gained to conduct the troubleshooting to then determine, that there was, what the issue was with the gun, and then how would you, um, how would you communicate that to the customer? For that you could really pick any gun. Maybe pick your Garand. That way you have a platform to discuss.
Okay, so you want us to basically approach it as if somebody brings us a gun, kind of like on the worksheet, and
Yeah.
we make up whatever failure it is or whatever problem the customer is having, and then we do a basic write-up of how we would approach it, what we would discuss with the customer before we even picked up the gun, and then the procedures from clearing and safing the gun through a functions check. And
Live test fire.
yes, okay.
Yep.
That's what I was kind of curious, is if you wanted us to kind of use the creative writing side for dealing with the customer aspect, or if you just wanted us to stay with, here's what the textbook says, and I'm going to regurgitate that information, but that really doesn't tell you what I've learned.
No. Think of this as a summation of everything that you've learned up to this point, because this week is the start of the fasteners.
Yes.
Next week, watch the video that's provided in the week 8 module. Because that will show you exactly what you need to do for the week 8 practicum.
I've actually already watched the video because I was curious as to what the repair would look like. So
Yeah, no, I watched it a couple of times. I mean, but if you follow all the steps that are shown in that video and set everything up, you're going to do great. So
that's what I'm shooting for, is to do that, because it's interesting to me, and I would actually rather sit there and put my hands on the stuff instead of reading in the textbook about this is how you repair a fastener. Okay,
yeah.
great, but that doesn't mean my hands will know what to do when I pick up that firearm and see that messed up fastener.
Do you have a drill press?
I do have one.
All right, so on fixing the screw head, right? Because you're gonna bugger up the slot on one of those screws, and then you're gonna have to fix it. You're gonna use a file to fix it.
Right.
When you go to polish that screw head, chuck it up in your drill press and use some fine steel wool. So you'll have the screw head extend. All right, so say this is your screw head, right? So you'll chuck it up so you got a little bit of space, and then you take that steel wool and you come up with the steel wool, and this is after you've already done your filing, right?
Right.
Because the steel wool will polish out any of those scratch marks, but it's not going to really take off any metal. If you use sandpaper or other abrasives, you'll take off more metal than you really want. You can also use the Scotch Brite green or brown scouring pads. I use those a lot to polish the inside of shotgun barrels. Because again, you're not taking off much, but it's abrasive enough to take out any of the scratches or any of that kind of stuff.
Okay.
When you go to do the bluing, they call it cold bluing because you're not dunking it in a hot tank. However, you want to get that screw head heated. What it does is it opens up the pores of the metal so that it can suck in that bluing, so you get a deeper blue. And so you can use like a heat gun for taking paint off. You know, the what are they called? Just heat gun, I guess.
Yeah, heat gun,
Yeah, so just use a heat
Electric.
gun, you know, to heat it up. And then put your bluing on it. Because it'll give you a better finish.
Okay. I don't have a heat gun, but I think one of my brothers does, so I'll check with them. If not, it shouldn't be that expensive.
No, and you know, you can use a toaster oven. Put it on a piece of aluminum foil in the toaster oven. And it doesn't have to be very hot, but run it at about 200 degrees for 15-20 minutes or so. And then use a pair of pliers and a Q-tip to put the bluing solution on.
Okay.
would open flame be ill advised due to
Yeah, I wouldn't use an open.
contaminated?
I wouldn't use the open flame because you're going to deposit soot.
Yeah,
You know, and you don't want to use like MAP gas or you know, the brazing torches because it'll get too hot.
so electric.
Yeah, I mean electric or toaster oven. You know, for most of the paint on finishes, the baking temperature isn't very high. You know, it's 230 degrees for an hour, up to about 350. You know, if it requires baking at all. But yeah, so 200 degrees for about 15-20 minutes, you should be good on that.
Okay. If my wife's not here, I may sneak it into our oven in the kitchen and do that while she's not looking.
Well, there's not putting anything on it, so there won't actually be any odor until it comes out. So, you know.
Yeah. I will figure out how to make it work and make it look good.
Sounds good. If you have any questions, man, just reach out.
I will do that.
Awesome. And I look forward to tearing into that 1911 with you.
All right. Sounds like a fun time.
All right, brother.
All right. We'll see you next week.
All right, take care. Have a good evening.
All right. You too. Bye.